The Monster Mile evokes fear in every driver's mind. They all know what's coming, but it definitely is a challenge once these drivers all get here. We're here at the Dover International Speedway for tonight's running of the SimPossible Racing League, the truck series on Monday nights. Excuse me, I had a bit of a technical issue there, but we're back. But either way, I'm Cameron Rich up here in the booth with Carl Scott's manning those cameras, and a new analyst for tonight. Got AJ Digby in the booth, and AJ, as the first SimPossible Racing League champion, you've definitely taken a lot of laps around at this track, this 1 mile serial bowl-shaped racetrack. I know it's one of my favorite tracks. I love this track so much. It's definitely a track I always look forward to watching and racing. But what are these drivers going to be looking for tonight at this racetrack?
Yeah, one of the big keys to Dover is just trying to keep your car off the wall, keep it safe. It's such a tight track, and with the concrete, it can get really loose at times. And so you really want to, especially off of 2, off of 4, try to keep it off of that those front and back stretch walls and keep your truck clean and hopefully not cause wrecks, cause damages to where you'll have to use a fast repair, because at a track like this, damages can pile up real quick and things could head south very fast.
Absolutely. Watching number 7, Evan Paskowicz, go around the track right now. He's currently second on the practice charts. Actually gets in the wall up there in the turns 1 and 2 end of the speedway. Actually on his side right now, so a bit of a bad wreck there. But that's something that you notice about watching these trucks go around this track, as we watch Matthew Luzewski and Alan Capers negotiate turns 1 and 2 as well. But the way you drive this track, you really have to dive it in the corner, because the banking from the straightaways to the turns is not that much of a difference. So you really just send it off in the corner, and it really compresses the suspension and everything. You really feel it in the car, and that's one of the challenges that really is prevalent about this racetrack. But practice is over, and now we've transitioned over into qualifying. So all these drivers are going to go out, take their 2 laps to try to get the best position they can on the grid. There's Billy Wise on the track right now, coming out of pit road. Make sure to stay below that blue line right there and come out on the racetrack. We'll probably see him run the high line through turns 3 and 4, try to get that car wound up and have as much momentum as he can going through turns 3 and 4. You see him dive out off on the bottom of the corner right there, on the top of the straightaway, excuse me, and see if he can do a good lap here. And really, one of the keys here is you want to get that car as close to that apron right there as possible. That apron, that asphalt apron, the darker surface on the bottom of the racetrack. But you definitely don't want to hit it, because that will decamber the car quite a bit. And it really can make you spin. And you just really want to stay off that at all costs. But Billy Wise comes across a line 23.517, so about a tenth quicker than he ran in practice. And currently the quickest car out on 3 cars to qualify right now. Christopher, Nate Catilla, and Johnny Bry just putting up a lap time. But see if we can go on board with somebody in just a minute, just to see what kind of a line they run around the qualifying. Actually, here we have Alan Capers. So you see the banking here. I believe it's about 22 degrees or so around this racetrack, so it's very highly banked. And the difference between the turns and the straightaway is not a lot, like we said. See, as he comes off here, turn number 4, the truck, it actually lifts up off the suspension a little bit off these corners, and you definitely feel that, because you get a little bit of wheel spin, especially when the tires wear out. So it definitely is really a unique track in all ways.
Yeah, you'll definitely notice here in qualifying, these drivers are going to get as low as they can, like you said, to that asphalt. Try to keep that car as tight as possible. But you'll notice in the race, especially as the run goes on, the trucks will start to drift up the track a little bit. Just that slight loss of grip in the tires will not really be able to keep the car pinned down to the bottom. And moving up the track will also give the drivers a little bit of a better line off of 2 and off of 4 to not slide up into the outside wall. As you said, the front and back straightaways are actually banked as well on this track, more so than any other track really that I've driven on. And that leads to some issues coming off the corner, because you don't have any extra roll off the corner like you would at another track, say like Texas or something. But as you said, going into the corner, you kind of just have to throw it in there, because you don't have that banking to help camber and help roll you into the corner like as a Texas. And this type of track is just so unique in the way that it's designed, shaped, and being concrete and being with pretty much bank the entire way around the track.
Yeah, and one of the things we're going to have to look for tonight, you saw that number 7 of Paskowicz. He actually got on the wall off turn number 4. And that's going to be a talking point tonight. Like you said, AJ, off of turn 2 and off of turn 4. It's so easy to hit that outside wall because of the way this track is, and especially off turn number 4. I know this track is a perfect oval. It is the same shape on each end of the speedway, but it definitely does not drive the same on each end of the speedway. Turn 4 is a little bit harder for whatever reason. I've always noticed that when I've driven it, it's a lot easier to hit the outside wall off of turn number 4, and I think that might be because of the I think it might be just because of the way the shade works in the sim. You have a little bit less grip off of turn number 4, so you definitely feel that going through that corner.
Yeah, as you can tell when these cars are driving around the track, turns 1 and 2 tends to be a little bit darker. When a cloud rolls in, 1 and 2 definitely gets the shade first. And as it goes into nighttime, 1 and 2 will also get that shade sooner, it seems like. And it definitely just tends to keep 3 and 4 a little bit hotter, more specifically 4, and just lets the car slide a little bit more up into the wall than coming out of 2.
Matthews using the 24 coming across the line to finish his lap. He goes 24.540, 10th place for him, and we only have about 30 seconds left in practice. I don't see anyone else on the track right now, so I believe our grid might be set. Fernando Matos putting up a good lap time of 23.328. He's actually the quickest car right now, so I believe that might be, if he can hold on for the next 20 seconds or so, that might be his first pole in the SimPossible Racing League. I'll have to go ahead and look back at that to verify, but a very good showing for the 17 car right now. He was very confident in his pre-race, saying that he wants to have a good run, and Fernando definitely a driver who improves every single week. You know, he's one of the newer drivers in the league, but definitely doing a good job to come out here and up his game per se each and every week. But as we said, qualifying has concluded, and Fernando Matos is going to be your pole sitter.
Yeah, and just as you had said, Fernando came in with a primarily road course background, so he's been quickly adapting and learning and improving week after week, and here he is sitting on pole here at Dover.
Absolutely, and we'll get your grid set up right here. Row number 1 got a pair of Chevrolets, the number 17 and the number 7 of Fernando Matos and Kevin Paskowicz, respectively. Row number 2 got number 13 Alan Capers, and that is the last of your cars in the 23.3 second bracket. Kyle Zimmer starting in 4th position with 23.419. Starting in 5th, we got Billy Wise, and to his outside, Chris Roberge in 98. Row number 4. Got Nate Tillett in number 4 car, and Johnny Berardi in 99. Good qualifying run for him. Thomas Wise and Matthew Lizewski are going to round out your your trucks to take a time. And the rest of the grid is going to be coming up. Tom Johnson, Mark Dingman, and Brian Lovett. Travis Zudema actually entered the session, but apparently was not feeling well enough for tonight's race, so I don't believe he's going to be starting tonight's event. So a bit of a shame there that he's not going to be here. But either way, definitely more important to look out for your health and all that stuff. If you're not feeling up to race, just definitely something to think about. But one pace lap here. This is a mile racetrack, so we're gonna be going green here in just a moment. And you know, AJ, what are you thinking right now? You are going to be going green in about 20 seconds or so.
Well, obviously you want to have a really good start to the race, but like I had said, you really want to keep this truck clean, so you want to try to make up as many spots as you can as cleanly as possible. Try to set yourself up for a long race up ahead. There's a whole 120 laps here in this race and only 4 fast repairs, so if you have a lot of wreck early on, you're going to set yourself up for not good.
And the green flag out to start tonight's event. Kevin Paskowicz on that outside line gets a very good restart. He's actually gapped Fernando Matos on that inside line by about 3 car lengths into turn number 1. 17 not able to get going well at all, but has retained that second position for now. But he's under fire from Alan Capers, looking for a second himself. But I believe in turn number 3, Fernando Matos is going to hold it off pretty well. Battle for, I believe, the 6th position on back over here between Billy Wise and Roberge on the outside line. He's able to actually keep that position. It looks like the outside line is pretty strong here, at least for holding someone off at this stage of the race. So we'll have to see if that outside line actually progresses enough later on in the race to actually make moves. You said during pre-race, AJ, that groove will move up a little bit as tonight's event goes on. But we have a battle for the third position. Kyle Zimmer, he started in fourth, I believe. He's actually driven around the outside of Alan Capers, so really that outside line looking very strong early on in the race so far.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, with the way that the car wants to push up off of 2 and 4, if you can get to the outside of that driver and you can kind of make them be pinned down in a way, they really have to let off to even be able to make it out of the corner. And then if you're on the outside line, you can also set yourself up to have a really good exit and not have to worry about drifting up off the corner. So if you can get to the outside of the driver, it's not always a bad place to be around a track like Dover.
One driver on the move, number 98, Christopher Burge. He started in 6th. He's up to 4th and looking for 3rd on Fernando Matos right now. Fernando Matos not going in the right direction, but this is a early on in the race, 120 laps for these drivers to make. So definitely no real hesitant or no real urgency to do anything right now. But definitely this is a track position track. It really, you want to keep as far up as you can because it is a little bit hard to pass early on in the run before the tires start wearing, so you don't want to fall too far back if you can hold it. But you see about 4 cars here. That is from 4th place on back to 7th place. Nate Catilla running in 7th, but really from 2nd place on back to about Nate Catilla right there. This is a pretty close battle. Kevin Paskovich has pulled out to about a 1.2 second lead over Kyle Zimmer, but we'll see if Kyle can do anything about that. You see Alan Capers there going on the bottom of Fernando Matos, going for the 4th position. Looks like somebody might have gotten the wall a little bit there off turn number 4. Might have been the 25 of Kyle Zimmer, but battle for 2nd. Christopher Burge making moves right now. Like you said, he started in 6th all the way up to 2nd right now, so that number 98 is very fast at this stage in the race.
Yeah, as you said, Chris started 6th and Kyle Zimmer right behind him started 4th, so both of those have been moving up the field together, and Chris has really shown his speed here early on. As like you said, there's a pretty nice line here between 2nd to 7th, it appears.
Battle between Alan Capers and Fernando Matos. Alan Capers on the outside line, very close off of turn number 2. That's something that if you're that driver on the inside line, you have to be very aware of that because you will slide up no matter what you do. So you have to make sure that you stay off that car on the outside. And that is a bit loose there for Fernando off of turn number 4. You saw from the onboard.
There's a big wreck.
Ooh. Somebody is absolutely in the air. I think that's Billy Wise flipping around and having a pretty gruesome accident. I think that car has died. He's going to have to take a tow back to the pits. Yes, he did. So let's see what happened on the replay. We were on board with Billy Wise, and I believe that, Fernando Matos got a little bit loose off turn number 4. Looked like he was going to save it, but just was not able to get the car back under control. And Billy Wise, the unfortunate victim right there, getting kind of flung through the air like a top. So definitely not how he wanted to start this event, but we'll see from onboard here. You see Fernando Matos on the bottom there and just nowhere Billy could go. Absolutely terrible luck for Billy Wise there. And, when you're in that position, there's just nothing you can do as a driver.
Yeah, I can personally definitely feel for Billy. I've been in too many of those situations where there is nothing you can do and nothing is your fault. But it looked like Fernando just, like I said, the car wants to push off the corner out of 4, and the effect of that is that you're trying to steer a little bit harder, and that's where you hear the term push loose. The car's pushy out of 4, and so you try to steer a little bit more and you get loose because of it.
It looks like we have a bunch of activity down the road. Most of the leaders electing to come down and get probably 4 fresh tires and fuel. The one driver to stay out, Christopher Burge in the 98. No surprise there. He tends to do that a lot, if nothing else, just to get those points. And you can always count on him to get that lap lead bonus one way or another. But AJ, you probably know tires are pretty big deal at this racetrack. 10 laps in, 11 laps, whatever you want to say, that can make a pretty big difference on your pace. And I think if Christopher Burge decides to actually stay out, he's going to be falling back through the field quite quickly once we go back green.
Yeah, not only tires are really important here, but also on the restart itself, tire spin is kind of a big thing here at Dover. Just the way that the banking and the way that the lines are run, there's not really much rubber bound on the bottom of that track. And so if you're on the bottom line, you tend to spin the tires a good amount. And so, I mean, just looking at that last 8-lap run or so, Kevin Paskowicz had been running 23.3s early on in the run and was down into the 23.6s only 6 laps later. So over 0.3 difference between 6 laps. And that is something that if Chris does decide to stay out, you will be able to see cars probably fly by him. While he has been fast, I don't think the old tires will be able to hang up and out these new tires, as I just mentioned, 0.3 in 6 laps.
Absolutely, and just looking at the weather real quick, track temperature is about 92 degrees, so that is quite warm, and that definitely does play into how fast the tires do wear. But we are going green next time by, so we're getting doubled up. Alan Capers there killing another cone, and I think that we're his first cone of the weekend, I believe, so we'll have to keep it counted how many he brutally murders or whatever you want to call it, but he is the cone killer. So we're doubled up, and we'll see how this restart goes with, especially if you're Kyle Zimmer in that 25, you know that 98 in front of you has older tires. So, you know, you're going to be going a little bit better on the restart than Chris is. So you really have to be aware of that, and just not much you can do other than give him some space and just try to give him a little bit of room on the restart, because, you know, he's going to be doing all he can to get those tires hooked up, but there's just not much you can do with the tire disadvantage that he has.
You expect to see Chris drop a little bit here, and just look out for the guys behind him, and hopefully there's not too much wheel spin and cars going straight.
Pace car dives into pit road, and he'll doubled up, ready to go back racing. Pretty quick caution. Good to see that here at the Dover International Speedway, but green flag out once again. Flagman throwing it, and as expected, that number 7 gets a very good restart on the outside, as does Alan Capers. Christopher Burge does not get going well at all. He's actually going to be passed by 3 cars, I believe, into turn number 1. Battling side by side with Tom Johnson. He has Kyle Zimmer right behind him. Kyle Zimmer might be a little bit frustrated. He's going to want to get around the 98 because he knows that car has older tires, and he knows that. And after about 2 laps or so, those older tires on Chris's truck are going to equalize out a little bit, and the pace difference will not be as much as it is on the first part of the run. So he really needs to make that move right now and get around Chris if he wants to run down those 2 leaders in front of him. And indeed he does. He drives it into the corner, but not able to make the move off of turn number 2, side by side down the backstretch. I think that Kyle might have the advantage here into turn number 3 if he drives in hard enough. But Christopher Burge actually doing a good job on the outside line, holding that 25 off, but I don't think it's going to hold out of turn number 4, and no, it does not. So move Kyle Zimmer up to the 3rd position.
Yeah, Kyle gets back to 3rd after he had the restart in, but got stacked up back into 5th. Just like we said, Chris had a little bit of a tire spin, and it kind of stacked up that inside line. But also, as you had said, Chris is able to kind of hold him off a little bit when he's on that outside line. I mean, while the tires are a little bit older, a little bit slower, it's not that much slower, especially if you can pin the guy down to the bottom, which Chris was able to do for a lap or 2. But Kyle, with the fresher tires, was able to get the drive through and off the corner.
Yeah, and as I said, as the run goes on a little bit, the difference between those newer tires and Chris's older tires is going to minimize a little bit. Of course, there's always going to be the difference between the newer tires and the older tires, but the delta between those fresher tires and those older tires is going to shrink a little bit. But we're on board with Fernando Matos once again. He was the cause of the first caution, losing control off turn number 4, so he's going to want to get his spots back. He is our pole sitter tonight, so running back in 9th position right now. He has Brian Lowhead and Thomas Wise in front of him, going through turn number 3 right now. And for Fernando, lap 17, so probably wants to get back to the front as quickly as he can, but he's probably a little bit tentative through turn number 4, knowing that he did get loose that first time and lose control of his truck. So really just needs to kind of take it easy and probably feel the truck out a little bit, probably see what happened last time, and make sure that that does not happen once again.
Yeah, as I had mentioned, you want to keep truck. You only have 4 faster pairs, and in a 120 lap race, you're trying to think, hey, I'm going to use 1 faster pair an average of every 30 laps. So in his mind, if he thinks like I do, he could be thinking, hey, that's my faster pair for the first 30 laps, so I got to take it a little bit easier and just keep the car going, and hopefully then get into that next quarter of the race, and in that second quarter he can try to make a little bit more moves. But especially at a track like Dover, if you just keep enough pressure, sometimes people will make a little bit of a mistake, as it looked like Brian Lowhead did there, which allowed Fernando to move up another spot.
And back up at the front a little bit, let's look at lap times. Your leader, Kevin Paskovich, last time by ran a 23.697. Second place, I believe Alan Capers a 23.837. So that number 7 is extremely fast right now, about 0.2 quicker than the rest of the field. He is actually behind Billy Wise. Billy Wise 3 laps down from having to tow after that first accident. And Billy Wise having those fresh tires is probably going to be able to keep...
Sorry to interject. I believe 7 tapped the wall in turn 3 right there, just a little. Where who knows how much of a difference that'll make, but there is a slight bit of damage on the right front of that truck.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I was about to say, Billy Wise is in front of that 7 a little bit, or that 7 car. So Kevin Paskovich actually is in a little bit of dirty air right now, something he has not been in most of this race. He's been quite out front. So truck not handling 100%. With that number 32 in front of him, but that 32 has a little bit fresher tires, so he should be able to drive away a little bit and not go another lap down. He is 3 laps down after having a tow, so going to be doing all he can to stay in front of the leader and not go any more laps down. But here we have a battle in a bit further back for the 8th position, Fernando Matos and Mark Dingman. Those two very nice looking trucks, I have to say. I love both of those paint schemes going at it. Fernando just kind of running his race right now, staying in front of the number 48, Mark Dingman. Mark Dingman actually started in 12th place, so he's up a few spots from where he started. Thomas Wise looked like he might have gotten a wall a little bit there on the entry to turn number 1, right in front of them, but on board with Mark here, see how he's able to deal with Fernando in the wall pretty hard right there, but that was a pretty solid, or a pretty flat hit, so I don't think that'll affect him too much, but there definitely is a little bit of damage on the side of that number 17 now.
Yeah, the 17 definitely just pushed up into the wall a little bit, as we've been talking about. Definitely a little bit of damage, a little bit more than the 7 truck up ahead, but luckily at a smaller track like Dover, aerodynamics obviously play a factor. You don't want to push up and repeat a wall hit, but it's not going to be as effective as, say, a Talladega, Daytona, where aerodynamics are going to be huge. And so that 17 truck should still be able to keep going. He's just going to want to back it down a little bit and keep that, like you said, beautiful looking truck as clean as possible for the remainder of this race.
And this 2-car battle for the 8th position has become a 4-car battle for the 6th position. Tom Johnson and Thomas Wise kind of backed up into these two, into the battle with Fernando Matos and Mark Dingman. Thomas Wise actually under fire from Fernando right now, but using that outside line pretty effectively, he's able to hold off that 17 and the 48 behind him. I think Thomas Wise is running a bit higher on the track than most anyone else right now, probably trying to rubber in that track. Actually, he's you see right there, he's kind of dominating the corner, something you brought up early on in the race, or early in the pre-race, AJ. Enter high, kind of cut that car down low to get the better run off the corner. Now we see that Thomas Wise doing that right now, and it's working pretty well for him.
Yeah, you'll notice this diamonding, the longer the runs go on, just because of the tire wear, you can't hold the bottom as you're coming off the corner as much unless you slow up a little bit more than you want to. So you'll notice cars will enter low and drift up a little bit in the middle of the corner, not necessarily run the high line out of the corner, but you'll notice it more and more as the runs go on, and you can see it kind of out of these 2 cars. Fernando and Mark have been doing it here the last few laps as well, so definitely tire wear you can just see by the lines is starting to come into effect.
Yeah, and this track really more than most is very susceptible to the rubbering into the track, just because of I believe the concrete surface and all that. So really the lines are going to change quite a little bit throughout the race. Fernando Matos and Thomas Wise still going at it for the 7th position back here in the pack. Ooh, might have been some contact there from behind with the 48. But sideways on the front stretch, Fernando Matos once again out of turn number 4, getting in trouble. No caution though. And it's definitely not going to bode well for his chances. Definitely not the start of the race he wanted to have. But let's see what happened here on the replay.
I believe Fernando just left the apron, and like you said, with that missed camber that the apron can have, it caused the car to almost shoot up off the track. Caused a little bit of damage for both cars, both able to keep it going straight.
Mark Dingman in the 48 actually smoking on the 8 coming in the pit road right now, so definitely not what he wanted to have. He's going to go multiple laps down since we are still under green. I don't think Fernando Matos has that bad of damage. He's certainly a little bit banged up, but definitely going to be able to keep going, and I'm definitely going to want another caution. But Kyle Zimmer, we missed the battle for 2nd place. Kyle Zimmer got around Alan Capers, and he's actually running down Kevin Paskovich by a little bit per lap. He was actually 0.2 quicker last time by, so Kyle might have been saving his tires a little bit. That definitely is a thing that is pretty prevalent here. We talked about tire wear, and definitely you can save your tires a little bit at this racetrack. It'll pay big dividends for you longer on as the run goes on.
Yeah, Kyle must have been able to save his tires a little bit as he has been running down consistently about a tenth quicker every single lap. And we saw he got stacked up behind Chris Roberge on this restart here, and he's only been moving forward since then. And once he was able to get by Chris, and at some point got by Alan during all the other battles, and has been steadily moving up lap by lap since then. And it'll be interesting to see if this is repeated later on in the race. If Kevin Paskowicz has the more of the short run car and Kyle Zimmer has the long run car, or if either driver changes styles, changes how hard they're driving the car. You never really know, because Kevin could have been going hard, expecting maybe another caution and just trying to get as much lead, but Kyle could have also just have a naturally better car and naturally better racing line to be able to save the tires.
Yeah, actually, absolutely, and we do have a retirement from the race. Mark Dingman, 48, who we saw get in trouble there with the 17 of Fernando Matos, has retired from the race. So definitely a shame to see that. We're on board here with Kyle Zimmer. You can see the gap to Kevin Paskowicz visually decreasing. It's down to under 0.5 of a second certainly, and might see a battle for the lead here in about just half a lap or so, because that number 25 is flying at the moment. There is a bit of right front damage, like you said, AJ, a little bit while ago on that number 7 car, so it might be affecting him a little bit, because it definitely will, as the tires wear, the damage will hurt the truck a little bit more than it would on fresher tires.
Yeah, and I don't know how much you can actually see when you look at the truck, but there's a little bit of right front damage, but there's also a little bit of right rear damage over the side. So he must have at another point almost slapped the wall in a way that was more so just a front tap. So it's really slowing him up, definitely.
New leader 25, Kyle Zimmer, has got around Kevin Paskowicz. Number 7 was actually very sideways in turn number 1, and something we missed, the number 13 of Alan Capers got loose off of turn number 4 and slapped the inside wall. He's actually smoking on the bottom of the racetrack right now, or was smoking. He had to come down pit road, but he was your 3rd place driver, so definitely not what he wanted either. So a lot of these drivers early on in the race seem to be getting in trouble, and it's something that we're going to keep bringing up all race, I think. Just getting in trouble off turn number 4, and if you can't save it, you're going to hit that inside wall, and that's really going to pretty much destroy your truck. Let's go ahead and go through the field real quick right now. Kyle Zimmer in the 25 is your leader, started in the 4th position, and has definitely shown that he has a pretty good long run truck at this stage in the race, but we'll have, we're on lap 40, quite a bit of racing to go, so let's see how he can hold on to that speed. In 2nd place, your 2nd place starter, Kevin Paskowicz, a bit of damage on that truck, but doing a good job, showing that he has at least short run speed. See if he can probably change something or do something differently to get that truck a little bit faster on the long run. 3rd place, Chris Roberge, about 9 seconds behind the top 2 drivers right now, so a huge gap back to 3rd. But doing a good job, just kind of running his own race, and we saw that he was quick, got through the field pretty quick early on in the run. Right behind him, 56, Tom Johnson, started 11th, so he is your biggest mover of the race, doing a very good job right now in that number 56 machine. Looks like he's just running his own race as well. Has a lot of speed in that 56 truck. Gets in the wall a little bit there, or at least, yes, he actually did. You see the right rear of that truck a little bit bent up more than it was before, but able to keep it straight and keep going. And not far behind him, number 4 of Nate Catilla in that orange, black, gray, and white bunch of colors camo machine, actually looking below Tom Johnson to get 4th place himself. So a little bit of a battle there. I think he's going to take it pretty easily off turn number 4, and yes, he does. Let's go a little bit further back. 24 of Matthew Lesniewski, getting passed by Alan Capers, who is 2 laps down after pitting under green after getting in trouble off of turn number 4. So we'll have to keep tabs on Alan to see if the pit strategy falls his way later on in this race, and see if he can maybe short pitting will not hurt him too incredibly much. Not far behind, Matthew Lesniewski, the number 1 of Thomas Wise, who we saw battling with the 17 of Matos a little while ago, but doing a good job still running that outside line on the racetrack right now, diamonding it down to the inside. So it looks like he's very comfortable on that line himself. and about 10 seconds behind him, Fernando Matos, a little bit banged up, had a little bit of trouble earlier, but you know, still early on this race. See if he can come back from that. Your pole sitter for tonight's event, and I think that he's definitely wanting a caution right now to get that truck fixed up. And that's your 8 trucks on the lead lap. Pretty spread out right now. Something you do tend to see a lot at Dover is this is a 25 is Zimmer in the wall in the front stretch, and he's going to lose the lead to the 7 car. Very slow around turns 1 and 2. I don't know how badly that truck is damaged. It looks like it's not too incredibly bad, but we'll have to see what happened to him. He's actually coming down road right now, but just lost it off of turn number 4, and it looks like it's almost impossible to save once you get the rear end a little bit sideways off of turn number 4, AJ.
Yeah, these, especially here at the end of these runs with lack of tire grip, once you get a little bit loose and get off the racing line, this concrete is really slippery and it doesn't really allow you to save it very well. And very interesting that Kyle slid down the track into the inside wall. It's most of the time when cars get loose, you overcorrect and come up into the outside wall and cause a huge wreck, as Kevin Paskowicz just does the exact same thing back live. Kevin Paskowicz gets loose and hits the inside wall off of one as well. So these trucks are very slidey and all over the place. And obviously you see Kyle Zimmer just pitted. It'll be interesting to see how much everybody else pits. But here's a replay of Kevin Paskowicz, who did almost the exact same thing. Just like I said, that pushed loose. He was pushing off the corner, oversteered, and then turned down into the wall. And Kevin Paskowicz tried to enter pit road and wrecked. That is definitely going to hurt him as he gets that re-going. Hopefully it wasn't speeding as he was trying to enter pit road, because that would just add insult to injury. But these trucks are definitely dying for new tires as those two go down pit road and Nate Catilla takes over the lead.
This seems to be some of the most treacherous track conditions I've witnessed in this in the SimPossible Racing League, and I've never really seen as many trucks have issues as I have tonight. So it definitely shows that we'll have to look at the track temperature. It's gone up to 95 degrees, so it's pretty slick right now, but I'm not sure what is up. It's just, it looks like there is absolutely no grip, whether it's setup or something, but definitely, you know, something is really tough for all of these drivers right now. And actually, one thing, 56 down pit road right now as well. So
are at the very end of their stint here too. With the fuel, it's probably only going to last about 45 laps. So with the caution being at lap 8 earlier, you would expect Nate Catilla, who's only at about 43 laps since then, to come down here in the next few laps. But as you can see, a lot of these drivers have old tires and coming down pit road and also getting their fuel in faster pairs as well.
You see the image board right there shows how long these trucks have been out on the racetrack. The top 3 look like they've all been out on for quite a bit of laps, and then fourth place right there. Excuse me, that a little bit off. But one thing I want to ask you, AJ, one thing that did come in the last update, the last big update to iRacing, is these trucks have a new engine package, the sealed crate motor, if you want to call it like that. And one thing that is a little bit different than before is the new engine has a little bit more torque than the old one. It's a little bit more torquey in the low end of the range. Do you think that might be something kind of playing havoc with this race, knowing how this track is with off the corners?
It could possibly play a difference. The cars definitely have a not only visibly but audibly difference in the shifting alone. The car definitely reaches about 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs lower, at least it's like from when I had last raced this car, and it's just much different, and so it could be playing a factor into this. As in this league, we only run 60% fuel on Monday nights, so these cars aren't even actually at a full run like the actual track drivers would be, and are already seeing these issues. But these guys have handled it really well. I mean, we just had a full green flag run and having green flag stops right now as Nick Catilla is in pit road, which puts Matthew Lesniewski leading laps here in the SimPossible Racing League, still out there on old tires, and his truck looks clean. That is one thing you'll notice. His truck looks clean. I don't think it's touched anything today, and that's probably helping him to be able to keep these tires fresh and not have any extra damage caused to his race truck.
Absolutely, and one thing that we would have to point out right now, that 24 has the lap lead on everyone in the field right now. So if the caution were to come out, he would be sitting absolutely pretty. Actually going to get passed by Kyle Zimmer right here. You're going to see him fly by on the left side of your screen right there. Of course, that 25 has new tires, 24 car on very old tires. But you know, if Matthew can keep that truck out there and probably play the long game and get a well-timed caution, he would be very well off for the rest of this race, I would have to assume.
Yeah, and right now, at the rate that he's going, if he can last it a couple more laps, I don't know how much longer he has on this run, but if he can get a couple more laps and then there's a late caution, he might not have to pit again, just the way that with how much fuel he can make it on this run. But like you said, if he can keep this truck clean and maybe there will be a caution upcoming, he can trap a bunch of guys a lap down, but regardless, he can almost cut out a whole pit stop if this were to stay green to the end. Which would take a lot of time out that you don't have to go down pit road a whole nother time. You don't have to get tires a whole nother time. And at the very least, he could possibly take one less stop than some of these other drivers.
Absolutely. Probably is going to go ahead and pit in the next lap or so just to split this race into halves. We're about to be at the halfway mark in the race next time by. But here's Tom Johnson and Nate Catilla going at it. That is for effective, I believe, P6 on track. After Matthew pits, he's going to fall down the order just a little bit. Of course, losing a lot of time on those old tires, but like you said, AJ, playing that long game might have to take one less stop than everyone else, and that would definitely be a very good strategy call for him. And I believe this might be the first laps that Matthew has led in the SimPossible Racing League, and definitely coming out here and doing a very good job. Like you said, that truck is clean. Definitely one of the only trucks out on the racetrack that does not have any damage whatsoever. So definitely doing a fantastic job, and I believe he's coming down pit road this time by. You see the backfire out the exhaust pipes and get a good clean entry into pit road. Looks like everything was good as long as he wasn't speeding. Should be pretty well for him.
Yeah, and one thing that's interesting to note, both Kyle Zimmer and Kevin Paskowicz had both hit the inside wall, and as we had saw, Kevin Paskowicz had spun onto pit road, and Kevin is still only about 5 seconds behind Kyle Zimmer, with Chris Roberge only about a second behind him. So it's also interesting that Chris Roberge is on about the same tire strategy now with these guys as they both had green flag stops. So Chris is able to only be about a second behind Kevin, and it'll be interesting to see how this goes throughout the rest of the run.
And at the current stage right now, Kevin Paskowicz about 4/10 quicker than Kyle Zimmer last lap. We've seen that 7 car be very quick on the short runs. He's about 3.5 seconds behind the leader, Kyle Zimmer. So if he can keep that pace up, definitely he's going to catch him in not much time at all. See, there's Matthew Lazewski coming off pit road right now. On that access road, stay below that blue line and come off of turn number 2. But Kevin Paskowicz definitely showing he's very fast right now. But what Kyle Zimmer might be doing, and I know that this would be a Kyle Zimmer thing to do, he's a very sly driver. He might be just out there kind of running at about half pace right now just to not use the tires up. And once that 7 car gets within about a second ago, he's just going to gun it and really leave the 7 in the dust. And that's something that a lot of the smarter drivers tend to do, because that really, if you're out front by that much of a gap, there's really no need to run any harder than that. And I know that Kyle would probably do that. But here's Alan Capers. He's moved his way back up to the 4th position after pitting very early on. He was the first driver to get in trouble off turn number 4 and hit that inside wall. So he got a little bit loose there off of turn 4 once again. But pretty good recovery at this point. We'll see how those older tires are going to play for him. He's about 15 seconds behind the leader right now, but definitely a pretty good recovery so far.
Yeah, and as you had mentioned with Kyle Zimmer, his lap times in this stint since pitting are about 2/10 slower than when he was equally with his other stint previous to the last pit stop. So, like you said, could just be biding his time, knowing that he has a lead, knowing that he has some space behind him, about 4 seconds behind him to the next driver, where he can just try to log some laps and car clean and off the wall, and knowing that that might help him on the longer run, where his car won't be as slidey there like it was at the end of that last run.
And one thing that you can definitely see on the broadcast right now, the track has been overcast by some cloud cover right now, so it's definitely going to help the handling for all of these drivers, especially off of turn number 4. So a bit more grip for these drivers. And AJ, I just want to ask you, when that cloud excuse me, words are hard. When that cloud cover comes overhead and you kind of have to start dealing with that in the truck, how does that affect the way the truck drives?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting in iRacing because it's an almost immediate difference. You see the cloud cover, and within the next lap or two, the car already or the truck already drives slightly different. In this case, the truck would be with the extra cloud, it cools off a little bit, and it's not too cold, so it has a little bit extra grip. It's going to turn in a little bit better. It's going to handle the way that you want it to, and in some ways, it can actually change the way that you have to drive the track because it's not going to be as slippery as it once was. So you can put a little bit more gas into it. You can put a little bit more wheel into it, but you also have to be careful that you don't get a false sense of security and go up and hit the wall. As right now you can see we have a battle for fourth between Nate Catilla and Alan Capers both back there in the pack.
Yeah, Nate Catilla went around the outside of Alan Capers, and Nate Catilla's been pretty good this entire race. Haven't talked too much about him, been pretty low-key, but having a good solid run. Started in the 7th position, and has kind of been running around the lower end of the top 5 all race, and we saw him be one of the drivers that did not get in trouble off turn number 14 much. Hit the outside wall a little bit. There was a bit of damage on the right side of that truck, but has done a pretty good job to keep that truck from getting in any major difference. About 21 seconds behind the leader right now, so he's about 5 seconds or so from being lapped. So we'll see if we can not have that happen to him. But there's Alan Capers as well. We talked about him. Definitely those older tires are coming into play right now. He's got the oldest tires of everyone on the track right now, I have to believe. So that the truck probably not handling to his liking, and the sun has come back over the track just as we said that the clouds came over. So if these drivers got used to driving with a little bit more grip, they're definitely going to have to change that once again and get used to driving with a little bit less. And you see Kyle Zimmer having to take some evasive action there around the 66 of Brian Lowhead, lapping him. Had some troubles through turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, as you had said, with the weather changes, as we talked about adapting to the extra grip in the car, now you have to readapt to less grip, and you don't want to over readapt and let off the gas too much because that's how you can lose a lot of time to the guys behind you. But you also have to be able to keep that car off the wall and not overdrive it, as it looks like most of these drivers have been, words. Not speak today, but there is a battle for 6th, as you can see on your screen. Fernando Matos going down underneath of Tom Johnson. Both of those drivers are a lap down, so this would be the lucky dog spot if a caution were to come out. So this is a very important battle here between these two. Is if a caution comes out, you really would rather have the lucky dog instead of having to go for a wave around on old tires.
Absolutely, and another thing that both of those drivers have to keep into account is Alan Capers is 23 seconds behind the leader right now. He's he's about to be lapped in about 5 seconds, so that would not be a battle for the lucky dog anymore. Alan Capers is actually a couple seconds down the road from both Matos and Johnson, so if you're Matos, you know that your lucky dog chances end right now, as you see Kyle Zimmer going around the 13. And I think Fernando is quite quick right now on the racetrack, and a bit quicker than Alan Capers, so he's going to have to go out and pass that 13 to get that lucky dog spot back.
Yeah, and Fernando is only a couple seconds there behind Alan. He's kind of right sitting there behind the leaders. All 3 of these lapped cars here just behind the leader. As you can see, Alan Capers has a little bit of damage on the front end of that truck, which also could be playing into him being a little bit slower. But Fernando Matos is now behind Alan Capers and can see that the lucky dog spot is right there. And hopefully it doesn't lead to any overdriving because you have to keep that truck clean. He is faster. He just can take his time, but not too much time because in case of a caution comes out. But this race has been green flag since about lap 7, and it's just lap 76 of 120 already as Brian Lowhead is in pit road, as you can see on your screen. And this green flag, this has been a long green flag run, and hopefully, obviously isn't leading to too much fatigue because these drivers are killing it right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and I do believe that most of these drivers are going to have to take a second pit stop, and that we're going to have to keep an eye on the 24 of Wisniewski. We know he made it to lap 60, so he can definitely make it the rest of the way without pitting without pitting again. We'll just have to see if the tires. We'll have to see if he actually. One thing I did hear from the producer is that he did pit under the first caution, so not necessarily a lock set or a lock that he can make it to the end of the race, but you know, maybe with a bit of fuel saving or something like that, he probably can make it, and might have been saving for the entirety of this run so far. I know if I was him, I probably would do that and just see if I can kind of try to, you know, get the win that way. But either way, it's something that we'll have to wait and see for the 24. 99 missed pit road there, trying to come down pit road, so he is gonna have to go around one more time, a bit slower. The bit of damage on that truck. Johnny Berardi running 13 laps down, had some trouble early on in the race, so definitely not the day he wanted. Started in the 8th position, so definitely not what he wanted. One driver who is having a pretty good run is that 56 of Tom Johnson. We saw him up as far as the low end of the top 5, and just kind of having a pretty you know, not spectacular day right now. Bit of damage on the front of that truck on both ends of it, on the right side and the left side, but doesn't look like it's affecting him too much, and he's probably going to be battling for the 6th position with Alan Capers here in just a moment, because he is a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and as you can see, a lot of these lap cars are just kind of hanging on right there behind Kyle Zimmer. So either Kyle's kind of playing it a little bit safe, trying to save some tires, or these guys are just that fast, and this could be a situation where maybe in that last pit stop they didn't have as quick of a stop, so they lost ground, got a lap down. But these guys are definitely quick enough that if they can get back on the lead lap, they can be a factor to win this thing, as Fernando Matos is starting to drive up on the back of Kyle Zimmer. And as we had said, that Kevin Paskowicz has now brought the gap down to about 2.7 seconds when he was about 4 earlier on in this run. So Paskowicz definitely starting to close in, and Chris O'Berge down to 7.5 as well, and he was at 10 earlier. So this battle for the top 3 is starting to close in a little bit more as this run lengthens out.
And AJ, oh, we have a trouble in turn number 1. The 4 of Nate Catilla went around, but no caution. And that did slow down Kyle Zimmer a little bit. He had to make a little bit of a evasive maneuver there. 13 of Alan Capers on pit road. But one thing that we're going to go and watch the replay here and see what happened to Nate Catilla. He was on the high side of Kevin Paskowicz in turns 3 and 4. Might have been some contact there. We don't have a replay, maybe. No, we do have a replay. Okay, so we'll see. Yeah, just a little bit too. Yeah, just the same thing we've seen all race. AJ just getting a little bit too antsy with the throttle off turn number 4, and did a good job to keep it. Never really hit anything, so just kind of throwing smoke everywhere, and probably making Kyle Zimmer need a new change of underwear. But it looks like everybody was pretty good after that one. Did a pretty good job of saving it. He's really the only driver we've seen. Ooh, we have a caution on the racetrack right now. As we were talking, I think that Nate finally did bring the caution out. Looks like he's a little bit slow, got in some trouble.
And one thing that's here we can see on Nate Catilla just getting loose, bouncing off that inside apron. Like we'd said, that thing can just snap you around. But one thing that had happened right before that caution, both Fernando Matos and Tom Johnson naturally unlapped themselves and drove past your leader, Kyle Zimmer. So both of them have gotten themselves onto the lead lap before the caution even happened, which I believe will put Matthew Lesniewski into the lucky dog spot, because Nate Catilla was the caution. Matthew Lesniewski might be the lucky dog here, as both of those guys were able to just drive past the leader.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that did have an effect on, actually, something happened to the 7 of Paskowicz, because he's currently in 5th position. He was running 2nd. Oh, I see he was on pit road at the time of the caution, so he's probably going to just stay out while everybody else pits, if he didn't drive through pit road and not take a stop. But I think he actually did, so that's going to play a big advantage for the 7 for the remaining 30 laps of this race. But I'm getting word from the producer that the Paskowicz did actually not stop in pit road, so if that's the case, then he's going to have to come down pit road, because those tires are much too old to even think about staying out at this point in the race. But pit stops rolling through right now. Kyle Zimmer have a pretty big lead down on pit road, comes down and away off the pit road first, and probably going to be the leader on the restart. I do believe the 7 is going to come down. You see he's on the apron right now, so definitely making the wise choice to get tires on that truck, because there's no way he's going to be able to not fall to the absolute end of the pack with those old tires. But you know, what could have been a huge break for him really is going to turn out to be a bad one. Actually, he might be out of fuel or something, because he's coasting in the pit road. No, he's not. I thought he might have been out of fuel or something, because he was coming down pit road very slowly, about 25 miles an hour, but he still is well under power.
So what I think, and what a producer just also gave us a little bit of insight on, the 7 had rolled through pit road. I wonder if the caution came out as he was entering pit road to pit, and because of that, pits were technically closed, so he could not pit, so he had to drive through, which could have gave him an end of line penalty. So that's why it looked like he was coasting to try to let everybody through as he had the end of line penalty, and then pitted after that. So just kind of an unfortunate circumstance, but he is on the lead lap. He's going to have a fresh truck, and he's had a fast truck tonight, so he has a chance to move up through the field with only 6 drivers on the lead lap right now, so not too far to go.
Let's go ahead and try to get a word with your current second place driver, Chris Roberge. Chris, this is Cameron Rich up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, man. Well, you are currently in second place. Had a very good run so far, right up there in the top 5 most of this race, and doing a pretty good job. Just kind of not been able to get out in the lead yet, but what's your strategy to try to get out there and maybe take the win away from that 25 car?
I'm just going to take my time here with Kyle. I'm not just going to rush it just to wear out my tires out. So I'm just trying to play with the field here. And that's pretty much it.
All right, Chris, real quick before we let you get back to doing what you're doing best, how's the track feeling out there?
It is loose on turn 4 and turn 2. Holy smokes. It's just had to take it really easy around the corners. That's all you could do. And that's pretty much it.
All right, Chris. Well, good luck the rest of the race. Thank you so much for talking with us, and we'll let you get back to driving out there, because you are growing green this time by.
Thank you.
All right. Well, not too much from him. Just be simple there, AJ.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. He's got some business to do, and he wants to do it. But like I had said, something to be interesting here. Fernando Matos and Tom Johnson and now Matthew Lesniewski all back on the lead lap. All were fast there at the end of this, so they're right in contention here to get a good drive and go for this win, let alone a podium as well. So it'll be really interesting to see these guys who have been a lap down that whole last stint and now have a chance to go win this thing.
Absolutely, and that pace car is off, so we're going to be going green here in just a moment. Green flag is out, and a bit of a messy restart at the front. Not really side by side, but either way, pretty good restart for everybody. Chris Roberge gets a pretty good jump on the outside line, was able to hold with Kyle Zimmer, so it might have been backing up that restart. But you see it in the 3rd place, right behind the top 2 is that 17 of Fernando Matos. We haven't seen him at the front in a long while, but he's definitely going to wait to get his spots back. Still battling for the lead. Chris Roberge on the outside line. He actually might be able to make the move around the outside of Kyle Zimmer. Wow, what a great move for that 98 car to drive around Kyle on the outside line. We saw him win the race last week, and he's definitely going for blood once again. So, like you said, AJ, he's got business to do, and I think he just did it.
Yeah, Chris Roberge definitely shown he has some speed, and he showed it early on in that first run. He worked his way from lower in the field, didn't have a great qualifying effort for his liking, but worked his way up into the top 2, and definitely shows now when he's on equal tires, 100% equal tires, that he's going to be a truck to beat here tonight as we hit right now into the last 27 laps. 28.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it is definitely go time for all these drivers, so there's no more thoughts of saving anything. Really, all you have to do is just go right now. So battle for the lead still heating on, very close between those top 2. Kyle Zimmer looks low on Chris Roberge into turn 1, but Chris Roberge is going to dive it in and make sure that Kyle cannot do anything with him. And we know that 98 is a very tough driver to pass. He will defend his position, and definitely as we get to the end of this race, going to defend it even harder than he would normally. So that is what he should be doing. So we've seen Chris Roberge have success before, quite a few times, and I think once again we might see that 98 come out here and definitely have a good shot at this win so far.
Yeah, and 98 definitely showing he has speed, taking that lead with authority, but you can't also discredit the fact that Kyle Zimmer always is just there. He's always right there in a position to where he can win this thing at any time, and so obviously he's going to be giving it all right now, but at some point, him just kind of sticking onto the back of the 98 could pay off by a mistake or traffic or something, which is going on right now as they pass the lap traffic of the 99, and like I said, Kyle Zimmer is right there.
Yeah, he was right up on the tailgate of that 98. I thought there might have been some contact there through turns 1 and 2, but they kept off each other. And you see through turns 3 and 4, it looks like the 98 is a little bit better than Kyle Zimmer, at least right now. He's able to kind of get a few car lengths on that 25 behind him, but it looks like Kyle a little bit stronger on the other end of the speedway through 1 and 2. You see him pull back up on the 98, so this battle could be going on pretty well. And these two drivers get side by side. That number 17 of Matos, who's about 2.83 seconds back from these two, might be brought into the mix. He's behind the lap car of Billy Wise right now, but doing a pretty good job. A good recovery from what we saw from him earlier. And I think we have, well, we have a, excuse me, I thought we had a battle further on the pack, but that was not, just some lap cars. But the battle for the lead looks like it's still the best battle on track right now. Kyle might be a little bit quicker than Chris, but just like we said a little bit earlier, it's not easy to pass here on fresh tires when you're on equal terms with somebody else. You really have to probably make a dive bomb move or something like that if you're not on a restart. And I think Chris Burr's doing exactly what he needs to do right now, putting his truck where Kyle Zimmer does not need him to be, and able to hold off that hard charge at 25.
Yeah, and like we had mentioned, Kyle Zimmer is always there biding his time, but he could also, we saw him in that first run, was good on the longer run, and could just be biding his time with still 21 laps to go. He's still got a while left in this race. He doesn't have to make a move right now. He doesn't have to force an issue. All he has to do is just sit there on the back of the 98, maybe save a little bit of tire and be a nuisance and hope for either a mistake or hope for a chance to rise up. But he has time left in this race where he's probably not pushing it too hard right now. He's probably still setting up a pass, but the 98 has to be happy being out in the lead, because that's where you want to be, whether there's a caution, whether there's anything, that is the spot to be. So definitely going to be an interesting run, the last remaining laps between these.
And one thing I noticed about 98 a little bit loose off turn number 4, that's going to give the outside line to Kyle Zimmer. We'll see if he can make the move through 1 and 2. I don't believe he will, because that outside line is not very strong on the end of the speedway. It's a bit stronger on turns 3 and 4 end. But one thing I want to kind of touch on what you said earlier, AJ, about the 25 of Kyle Zimmer. You say that he's always there, and that definitely is a very true statement. I raced with him in another league, in the 3 Wide Racing League, and there's so many times where I think to myself, Kyle Zimmer is having an absolutely horrible race. He's not doing what we usually see from him, which is like dominating races and leading laps, and he comes back to finish second or something like that. So he's definitely one of those drivers that no matter how bad his day is from the outset, he always finds a way to get a good result out of it. And that's definitely why he's a champion in the SimPossible Racing League, and that's definitely why he's the points leader in this season so far.
Yeah, and as you were speaking there, the third place just had a battle side by side for a couple laps, and Kevin Paskowicz was able to make the move. So he was 6th before that caution, as he was the last one down pit road, and now he's back up to 3rd. And still a decent number of laps remaining, and possibly another caution, possibly not, where he has a chance to go up and fight for, at least he's in a podium spot right now and still has a chance to maybe get up there and battle for the lead. But like you said, Kyle Zimmer is always there. My kind of comparison is Scott Dixon in the IndyCar series for him, where the Iceman, just he's kind of always there, doesn't really usually have bad races, and can seem like he's not really having a good race, and then it's like, wow, another top 5 for Scott Dixon. And that's almost how it is with Kyle Zimmer in this league. He's constantly top 5, constantly gathering points, and in the end, it led to a championship for him in 2 of the trucks.
Absolutely, and that's really, as a driver myself, that's one of the scariest types of drivers, because you're always thinking, maybe I can beat this guy, but he has a bad day and he finishes 4th, so it's impossible to beat someone like that if on a straight points battle that this series is. There's no chase in this this series, I don't believe. I think this is just a straight points battle to the end. So Kyle Zimmer definitely knows what he's doing. He has the right mindset for that kind of a point system, and definitely showing it right now. Here's a battle between Tom Johnson and Matthew Lesniewski for the 5th place. Lesniewski had it. Tom Johnson just took it away a lap ago or so, and 56 having a good run in the top 5. Only 6 cars in the lead lap right now. The 24 is he was probably caught out a bit by that caution that did not play well into his strategy that he might be having, but he's coming back on the inside of Tom Johnson, see if he can make the move off turn number 2, and yes, he does. Actually just drives around him, so a good move there. Getting that car cut on the middle of, or in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and getting himself back into the top 5.
Yeah, Matthew Lesniewski having a great run to get back into the top 5, but as we look back up here into the leaders, Christopher Bursch has pulled away from Kyle Zimmer a little bit. Made a little bit of a run to take the lead as he works around the outside of lap traffic there. Is going to lose a little bit of time from it, but Christopher Bursch pulling away a little bit from Kyle Zimmer, and maybe it's just a little thing, but with only 11 to go, you got to think he's got a fast car. He's got a really good chance to win this, and Kevin Paskowicz is also putting in some fast laps in 3rd place and trying to make a run for the leaders. He's coming from a long ways back, but you never know with what could happen here.
Looks like somebody just went to the garage. I believe that Thomas Wise in the 1 car to the garage. Had a pretty good run going earlier, so it's a shame for him. Had some problems on the backstretch, but back up here to the lead. Kyle Zimmer's reeling in the 98 by a little bit. Again, that lead was up to about a second, but it's down to 0.6 now. And we are only 10 laps to go, so Kyle wants to make a move in the 98. He really needs to dig deep and find a little bit extra pace right now, because that 98 is definitely fast enough to win this race.
Yeah, this 25 car really has got to make something happen now, but he could be sitting back there, especially Kevin Paskowicz back there, hoping for a caution late in the race. We have green-white checkers in this league and on iRacing now, and so there is a possibility if there's a late caution, but this race has been green since lap 8, I believe, is when the first caution and only caution of the day so far has ended, and these drivers have put on one great show here at Dover.
And just looking at lap times right now between the 98 and the 25, 24.4 for Christopher Bursch, 23.3 for Kyle Zimmer, but it looks like both drivers are pretty much trading lap times back and forth each and every lap. 24.6 last time for Bursch and 24.7 for Kyle Zimmer, so you see it right there. And that's not going to play well if Kyle wants to catch the 98. Only about 7 laps to go right now, so Kyle just, he might have used his stuff up, you know, you never know, but you can never count that 25 out either way. He might be just kind of saving it for a heroic run with 5 laps to go. You know, it definitely could happen with him, but definitely it looks like that this race is definitely coming down to those 2 trucks at the front. They have about a 4-second lead on Kevin Paskowicz. Kevin Paskowicz actually is a little bit faster than both of these trucks right now at the front. So, but he is about a 4-second lead for those 2 drivers. So not enough time to do anything with that at this stage.
Yeah, and as you had mentioned, guys up front are running about 24.6s, 24 somewhere in that range. Kevin Paskowicz has been consistently running 24.3, 24.4, so he's been consistently the fastest car on the track. He's just a little bit too far back to make a big run at this right now, but Christopher Bursch just running great laps, as we had mentioned under caution. He has business to do, and he had a business mindset in that interview, and I don't know if he knew that he was going to go on and lead this many laps here late in the race, and so far, it looked like he's poised to win this. Put on a great race and been able to just pull away from Kyle Zimmer and the rest of the field here late in the...
And the lead has stabilized to about the better half of 0.7 of a second for Christopher Bursch. So coming down to 3 laps to go off of turn number 4 for him. He's sitting pretty right now. Really, all he needs to do is make 3 decently consistent laps, and that's definitely what he's been doing. He's actually extending the lead over Kyle Zimmer as we speak. So I think that might be all she wrote, unless the caution comes out. You never have to count your chickens before they hatch, because definitely there could always be a caution, and a green light checker would absolutely change everything. But it's looking pretty for him right now.
Yeah, it's definitely looking pretty for Christopher Bursch. Is logging laps right now. Happy to be on the lead. Is almost extend over a 1-second lead right now in this race, and Christopher Bursch has definitely got to be happy about this. And with this few laps to go, all he's got to do is just keep it off the wall, keep this thing straight, not get really loose like he said, and going, and hopefully he can do just that. He had won, like you said, this is the second race in a row, I believe, that if he goes on to win this, been dominant here in the trucks as of late.
Absolutely, and actually his last one was in the other end of the split series in the K&N cars. This would be his first win in the trucks, but I think through turns 3 and 4, we can already get the kazoos ready for Chris Burge, because with a commanding move around the outside of Kyle Zimmer, he's going to take the win home here at Dover. What an absolutely fantastic run for him, getting his first win in the truck series this season, and what a way to do it.
Yeah, Chris Burge gets the win. Kyle Zimmer with a great run, like we said, always there collecting points, gets second place. Kevin Paskowicz rounds out the podium in third place, and Fernando Matos and Matthew Lesniewski round out your top 5. Matthew Lesniewski, Tom Johnson, both kind of your biggest movers of the night, started 10th and 11th each respectively, and they up 5th and 6th respectively. Great showing by them tonight, but better showing by Chris Burge, who goes on to those drivers going up and giving a little, because it was a fantastic race.
Absolutely, and we talked to him before the last restart. He said that he just needed to go out there and get it done, and absolutely that is what he did. He did it, what he needed to do, and he did it commandingly. He went around the outside of Kyle Zimmer, went around the outside of one of the best drivers in the SimPossible Race League at a track where the outside is not the where you want to be. So definitely a good piece of driving from him, and it's going to net him a win tonight, and definitely a very good race all around, and a lot of treacherous track conditions for these drivers to deal with, but they dealt with it pretty well, and had a pretty green race for the most part. So these drivers in the SimPossible Race League showing each and every week that they are getting much better, and you know, really we say this isn't a league for disabled drivers, but that's not a dig on anyone, because these drivers are just as good as anyone else, and they put on, you know, just as good as races as anyone else, really better for the most part. So you know, it's always a pleasure to watch these races, and definitely you can see why.
Yeah, as you had mentioned, tricky track conditions. You are seeing this right now with Chris Burge's donuts, as with the banking on the straightaway, it puts him down into the wall a couple of those. Yeah, as you had said, I believe only 2 cautions right in this race. May have misspoke at some point during the broadcast. They were not greens, and that was, but only 2 cautions in this race, and some fantastic driving to be able to keep these trucks going and get some green flag stops in. And wow, this was a fantastic race. And gotta have a heavy heart a little bit for Billy Wise, who was involved in that first wreck and went multiple laps down just because he had to tow, and because it was such a low caution race, he never got a chance to get. At the end of the day, Chris Burge, he comes away with the winner with the backwards lap here, and then Kyle Zimmer, Kevin Paskowicz have got to be both happy about a podium finish. They both know that they could have done a little bit better, but at the end of the day, Chris was a little bit too good there at the end of that run.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it best, AJ. We're going to let these drivers get their thoughts collected real quick, and let Chris Burge do some more backwards laps, and we'll have some interviews with you guys shortly, so hang tight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dover International Speedway, Raceway, whatever it is. Don't actually know the proper terminology for the track, but we've just concluded tonight's event. Chris Burge coming home with the win. But before we talk to him, we're going to go ahead and get a few words with our second and third place finishers. And I believe AJ Digby has caught up with our third place finisher, Kevin Pasquich.
Kevin Pasquich, this is AJ Digby in the 3-0 booth.
Yeah, we got you guys. What's up?
Well, you led 37 laps today and had a really fast truck, and just got like it just had something going on that last caution and had to pit late and restart sixth. First off, just tell me about your night, and then tell us a little bit about that.
Night wasn't bad. Dover's kind of a track I've got a love-hate relationship with. So we were just kind of cruising, and it was weird. Like, I think short run I was faster than Kyle. Medium run he was faster than me, and then long run I was faster than him. And yeah, so we just it was kind of going back and forth. But overall, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so as I had mentioned, if you could give us a little bit of insight, it looked like you had just driven through pit road there and then came back down and pitted. Was the caution out as you were pulling into pit road, or what really happened there?
So yeah, I hit pit road, not thinking we were gonna have another caution because it was a really good race tonight, and I wanted to bunny hop Kyle because I was catching back up to him pretty quick, so I wanted the benefit of fresh tires. Well, as soon as I think my nose crossed the line and the caution came out, so instead of pitting, because I knew if I pit it would rotate me to the back of the line anyway, I just drove through pit road and trying not to lose a lap, and it let me wander through, but I had to pit with the lap down cars, so it was all kinds of messed up, but it is what it is. We were still able to rally for a third.
Yeah, just an unlucky break. Catching pit closed right as you were going in, but all in all, a great race, coming away with the podium third place tonight. Any shout-outs that you have for us?
I always got to do teammates at Phenomenal. All of those guys that race with us, and we have a lot of fun. Of course, Palmetto Distillery, PH Aware, PH Human, for putting on the side of the truck and the cars and all of that neat stuff. So thanks those guys for supporting us, and hopefully we get them some support. Of course, my lovely wife Karen as well for putting up with me.
Well, thank you, Kevin Pasquich. Great race tonight, and you can walk away pretty happy with the podium finish.
All right, thank you guys.
I believe next up, Cameron Rich has a second place finisher, Kyle Zimmer.
Yeah, I got Kyle right here, and Kyle, your second place finisher tonight, started in fourth. Led a lot of laps tonight. Looked like you might have had the truck to beat, but just nipped there on the restart by the 98. But just go ahead and tell us about your night, bud.
Yeah, it was a great night. I mean, for the race and for the points. Finally, White was really good throughout the night. I was kind of surprised compared to the practice. The track temperature must be a lot different from practice to race, and a lot more stable. I had a fast truck in early run, but I noticed I have struggled in after 25 laps. Run with the tires, and I started falling off pretty fast from there. And yeah, we had a long green there, and then I hit the wall once and it hurt my truck, and quick repaired and four tires and got back to the lead. And then the caution came. Chris got in front of me, and I just couldn't get around him, and did a heck of a job to and get. I'll take second.
Yeah, one thing that me and AJ were talking about in the booth is you're a driver that tends to, on a bad day finish, fourth or something like that. So in a championship like this where points matter all the way to the end of the race, you don't have a chase or anything like that. Does that kind of go through your mind during the race? Do you want to play the long game and take what you can, or do you want to go out there and try to win every race you can, even if it might put you in a bad spot?
Yeah, the race, tight. It was starting to get tight here and there, and noticed, long run, I tried to change my lanes and, back in the corner a little bit different, like a diamond, but seems like I could get out the corner better in the long run, but I just couldn't figure it out. It's like a half grade as I did in half. So it definitely kind of affected in the long run on my handling.
All right, Kyle. Well, I'm looking at the schedule, and it looks like next week we're going road course racing at Road America, so that's going to be a fun one. How are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, road course not my favorite thing on stock car side, but Road America is definitely gonna be fun to race, and I just gotta keep it clean, but from not going off the track or spin out. Have a good race point day. Go from there. Try to keep momentum with my point lead.
Absolutely, playing the long game for the season, Kyle. But congrats on finishing second place. Very good run for you. Led quite a few laps tonight. But before we let you go, we know you got some shout-outs you want to give, so let's hear them.
Yeah, I definitely like to shout out to you guys, Rewind TV, broadcasting this. And I also want to thank Jeff for creating this lane. Without that, this would have happened. I want to thank everyone else who participated. And I want to thank Protest Racy and my truck tonight. And it's close to win, but great night. Definitely looking forward.
All right, Kyle. Well, thank you very much for talking with us as usual, and hope to talk to you again next week as always.
Hey.
See if we can go find our winner, Mr. Christopher Burge himself. And I have him with me. Christopher Burge, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, man. Well, we talked to you before that last restart. You pretty much said what you need to do is go out there and pretty much do some business, and business is what you did. You made a power move around the outside of the 25 in turn 3 and led the rest of the way from there. Before I ask you any other questions, tell us about that move.
Well, I just hopefully I could hold it, because it was tough trying to hold it on that, because I don't know how well the car, or worrying about Kyle might slide in and crash each other, or me slide it and hit the wall and me hit him. It's just trying to play the game, and it's just really tough. But I somehow got pulled away from that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we noticed tonight is the track conditions were pretty treacherous looking. A lot of drivers had trouble off turn number 4 specifically. One of the most common things we saw was that they slid down to the inside wall and pretty much destroyed the truck. Did you ever kind of feel that in the truck while you were racing?
Well, a few times I got a little loose on, I see turn 2, I got loose, and I said, okay, well, let go of the gas, just so hold off and just take it easy. And then turn 4, I did the same thing too. It got a little loose. I said, okay, just calm down and just go through it, and I made it right to the end.
All right, Chris. Well, I'm going to ask you the same thing I just asked Kyle Zimmer. Next week we go road course racing, left to right turns at Road America. So that should be a fun one to watch. And how are you looking forward to that one?
Well, I don't know. I haven't did truck or K&N cars with a road America yet, but I probably will take a test just to try it out, see how it feels, and see what happens.
Absolutely, my friend. Well, your first truck win of the season, and that makes you, I believe, the 5th different winner of the truck series. So very cool to see how competitive both ends of the Monday series are. A lot of different winners in both the K&N and the trucks. But before we let you go, we know you got some shout-outs you want to give, so let's hear them.
Yes, well, first off, I would have a big shout out to my wife to watch my race here. It's a big supporter of my life. She support with you guys too. She loves to watch us race every weekend and week out. Thanks to 3YTV, including all you guys, including AJ. I know he's a racer, but he helps you guys out. That's pretty great for him, helping you guys out. Thanks for Just Smith. That I know he's not around today to talk, but he organized this for us, and it's great for him for do this for all of us, including you guys. All included, so it helps out quite a bit.
All right, Chris. Well, congrats on winning 9th event with a very commanding win. We'll say that a very impressive way to win the race. But thank you so much for talking with us as always, and we hope to talk to you again next week, bud.
Oh, you will, and you have a great time. It's my first win. I'm going to celebrate now, and it's Canada Day for Canada too, so I might as well win for Canada too.
Hell yeah, my friend. Go out there and have a beer or whatever you do. Go and celebrate. And I love the confidence that I heard. Yes, you will talk to us, and definitely gonna go ahead and win again. So, thank you once again, and we probably will talk to you because definitely one of the strongest drivers in the league right now.
Well, thank you, and you guys take care.
All right. Well, bit of confidence from our winner tonight, so we'll go ahead and wrap this one up for you guys. Get some results on the screen in just a moment, and there they are. Chris Burrs, who we just talked to, coming home with the win tonight. Kyle Zimmer finishing second. Kevin Paskowicz in third. Fernando Matos, after starting on the pole, coming home in fourth position after rebounding from some early troubles. Matthew Wisniewski with his first top 5 of his SimPossible Racing League career, coming home in 5th. Tom Johnson coming home in 6th. Nick Catilla 7th. Brian Lovehead 8th. Billy Wise, after flying through the air in an early wreck, coming home in 9th place. And 10th place, Alan Capers, who had some trouble as well, coming home in 11th. Number 1 of Thomas Wise, who retired earlier from the event. Johnny Berardi coming home in 12th. And Mark Dingman had some troubles very early on, coming home in 13th and last. Travis Zuderman not starting the race tonight, so technically your 14th place finisher. He was in the server, but did not record a lap time. But either way, that's all we got for you guys tonight. I want to give a shout out to all of our chatters in the chat, all of our viewers who make this possible, and all the friends and family of the SimPossible Racing League that come out and watch and support us. And whether you watch live or the broadcasts, we appreciate it very much, and all the drivers here do as well. I want to thank SimTV for the cameras that allow us to show you these awesome angles each and every week, and Thomas Morris from OCR TV for these awesome graphics that are very awesome. They're very awesome graphics that are awesome, and they're very pretty, and they look very nice on the broadcast. Allow us to spice it up a little bit. And I want to thank AJ Digby for joining me in the booth tonight. Hope you enjoyed your first full broadcasting experience. But from myself, from Carlos, from AJ, we hope you guys have a good night and stay awesome.